me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy crackers world we're living in. So, just first of all, before I get into it, remember to follow me on social media, please. YouTube, I have the two YouTube channels, Vicky Marie Chats, Spanish and English with Vicky. TikTok, I have over 1,000 followers now on TikTok, which is brilliant. Vicky Marie Chats True Crime. Facebook, Vicky Marie Chats. I don't go on Facebook much, but I have got a profile on there. And X or Twitter, Learn Vicky 1969. It's not 1969, it's 196953. I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. And Instagram, bless me, Jesus. Instagram at Vicky Marie Chat. So just wanted to say that first of all. So how the devil are you? I hope you're all well. Here I am. If you don't know me, if you've not watched my channel before, my name's Vicky Marie. I am based in mainland Spain, although I was originally born in Britain, in Manchester, good old Manchester. Manchester City fan, of course, because I am a true Mancunian. Yeah, and I'm here in this video to talk a little bit more about Erin Patterson and what happened in her trial. So the news has broken, of course, a couple of weeks ago that she was going to appeal. On Wednesday, she laid out her grounds for appeal. And yesterday I did a video about that. And the first part of, we're going to react to this interview that was done on the Australian news. I think it's called I Catch Killers, but we'll see that in a minute. And we're going to look at part two of this. It's very interesting analysis of what actually happened in Erin's trial. And we followed it as it went along, of course, but, you know, we weren't there. We could only rely on what people who were there in the courtroom, the journalists, sort of said. It's very frustrating, that, isn't it? Because you want to be able to see her speak and, you know, assess her from that point of view. But anyway, we couldn't. So we had some very good reports from the courtroom, and the gentleman we're going to watch speaking in a moment, he's another one that was there, and he gives a good report of what happened. And he's also wrote a book about the Mushroom Murders from the perspective of a juror. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Sorry, I don't know why I'm just as a comment, you know, as soon as I'm coming on live, everything starts going weird. I don't know what that's about. I feel like I've got a bit of allergy there, but I didn't even spray any perfume. But so anyway, I'm waffling, of course. In fact, I'm going to do quite a lot of waffling, probably, as usual. Let's put the waffle emoji up, because I know lots of you love the waffle, lots of you hate the waffle. You know, but I'm going to waffle and that's it. If you don't like the waffle, you have to wait. Go make a cup of tea, coffee, or whatever floats your boat, or if which part of the world you're in, maybe glass of wine, cheese toasty. I don't know. But yeah, I'm probably going to waffle for about 5-10 minutes, not for long. So just a couple of things I wanted to say. I've been very pensive this morning. You know, and I was thinking about how most of the time, and this is the God's honest truth, and I'm saying this from the heart, and I think most parents will understand this, or most people in general. Most of the time, as I sort of float through this life, you know, I feel like a total failure. You know, you feel like, oh, you know, I didn't do that right, or I didn't say that right, or I've been a terrible mother, I should have done this, I should have done that. going back in time with work things and that, or should have, even with my parents, I should maybe never have left Manchester. I should have looked after my mum when she had Alzheimer's. I should have done this, I should have done that. Honestly, most days I feel like an abject failure at life, I feel like God sort of sets you all these goals and I always fail miserably. I have good intentions with everything, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Anyway, I was thinking about all this morning, and I was like, I should have done this, or I should have done that. And then I just thought to myself, do you know what? I have done my best. Might not have been the good enough, might not have been the best thing. I might have done lots of things wrong. I know for certain I've done lots of things wrong. Not like Erin did wrong, of course. I don't mean those kind of things. But then I thought to myself, do you know what? You should give yourself a pat on the back, really, because, I've worked since I was 15 years old. I haven't got a lot, but what I've got, nobody gave it me. I earned it myself. I've worked 14-hour days. So I've got to give myself some credit. And the reason I'm trying to say this is because I know I'm not the only one. I bet there's a lot of you out there that some days get up in the morning and think, oh God, another day. Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I don't want to do it. I did this wrong. Or, maybe you've got a breakdown in a relationship, either with a partner or with a child or with another family member. I don't know, maybe you feel like you've done everything wrong like I do on a regular basis. What I'm trying to say is you've got to pat yourself on the back, get up out there and think, no, maybe I did do a lot of things wrong. And maybe I wasn't always, I don't know, the best mother or the best partner or the best sister or the best auntie or whatever your relationships are. Maybe I wasn't any of those things, but I tried my best. I did things wrong, but I own up to what I've done wrong. I own it. I didn't murder my relatives like Erin did, or, that was her way. And the other thing I think you've got to remember, and I have to remember, sorry, I'm like patting myself on the back, but I am in a way, because sometimes if you don't pat yourself on the back, nobody else will do it. So, as I say, nobody gave me anything. If you look at people like Andrew, the artist formerly known as Prince, he had everything laid on his plate from the day he was born. Charlie boy, Willie, all the royal family and that. They've got, all the advantages that anyone could. They're not the only ones. There's lots of people like Erin as well. She had everything, but she still wanted to murder her relatives out of spite. So when you were born with nothing, I was born in very humble beginnings, but I think I got a good, money's not everything, is it? Just because you're not born to money, maybe you don't ever have like riches and stuff like everything's just more of a struggle, isn't it? Going to university was a struggle. I had to work my way through it. My parents didn't pay for it, for God's sake. They could only just about afford to pay for themselves. So, you don't have this, just everything's laid on a plate in front of you. And there's loads of people out there like that. Who get up in the morning and go to work even though they don't even feel like it. They go to work if they're ill, because if they don't, they won't get paid, depending on what job they've got. You are heroes. You've done it for your families, or for yourself, or for your dogs, or for whatever you've done it for. You've got up and gone to work. Or if you're not working, now I'm not saying, people who don't work aren't heroes as well. If you've got mental health issues, if you've got physical health issues, if you've got whatever, you just get up every morning and smile, even though you don't feel like smiling. You are a hero, and you should recognise yourself as such. And, people like Andrew, Erin, loads of people. How many times do we do a crime story where somebody was born with everything, really, but they didn't appreciate it? People are unappreciative, aren't they? Sometimes I think the worse, the more someone has, the more they want. It's like, for me, if I can just get up in the morning, I know my electric's not going to be cut off, my water's not going to be cut off, there's food in the fridge, I've got a reasonable relationship with my family, just, one day we'll sort of get into all that, but I don't know when. But, all those things, if you just got, to me now, just a tranquil life. I've had so much drama in my life, I won't care if I never had any more drama. So, these are the little things that we have to take for granted, isn't it? Just waking up is a result in itself. Making your coffee, I don't know. I've done quite a lot of washing and things this morning. At least I've got a washing machine to do it in. I've got a place to hang it out. I've got clothes. Do you know, it's hard to explain. So anyway, that's been my morning. Very pensive, very thoughtful about how lucky I am, and also trying to pat myself on the back. So I want to pat you all on the back. For those of you that are out there thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm failing at life. You're not failing at life at all. Just the fact you get up in the morning and put your face onto the world, whatever face that happens to be, or support your families even when you don't feel like it, or maybe support other people, because a lot of people that are going through problems, other people would say, oh, they're really supportive. Because sometimes when you try to support other people, and I don't mean physically or emotionally, I mean mentally, maybe you're suffering from it, but you're doing it for them. So you've always got to take time out for you and care about you. And on a totally different note, something else that struck me this morning was, why is it when you drop something on the floor, it always goes just out of reach? Have you noticed that? So like you drop something on the floor, I've got all this floor here around me, and there's loads of places I can reach, and whatever you drop on the floor, it just goes that little bit further, doesn't it? Or under something that's really awkward to get to, or just, it's like sod's law, isn't it? Anyway, that's a whole nother thing, because I dropped a makeup brush on the floor earlier and it went just out of reach. And I was like, so I had to get up, move the chair out of the way. Why couldn't it have just fell on the floor and just dropped like right there where I could have just bent over and got it? But it always happens, doesn't it? It's like, so that's a completely different thing. So now I've finished my waffling, you'll be glad to hear. So now what I'd like to say is thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for putting up with me, or, for some unknown reason, finding me interesting to watch. I'm not sure why. If you don't find me interesting to watch, well, do you know what? There's a million other YouTube channels out there. A special thank you to my members. Now, I will be doing a members live tonight, but of course it is the final of Celebrity Traitors, so I'll probably have to do it a little bit earlier than normal. So I'm not sure exactly what time yet. What's the other thing I want to say? Oh, thank you to those of you who buy me a Ko-fi, to those of you who send super stickers. Thank you to anyone who contributes to my channel in any positive way. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, lovely lurkers. It's good to see you. Hi to replay crew. I didn't give a kiss to lovely lurkers. Lovely lurkers, replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, now I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to chat. I can see there's a lot of chatting going on. It's funny because, my chatters like to chat. Oh, that was the other. I meant to put a poll up. Do you want the chat on screen or off screen? Because I think sometimes when the chat, because I can put the chat, let me show you. I can show the comments on stage like this, or I can have them just in the chat. Now, I think I am going to do a poll if I can work out how to do one. Let's see, how do I do a poll? Okay, so I'm going to do a poll. I've took the chat off the screen for now, but I'm going to do a poll to see if you like the chat on screen or off screen. I'm going to do yes, no, and don't care. You know, some people just don't want it on screen, which is fair enough. So, don't care. Right, so we've got chat on screen. Yes, no, don't care. Okay. So let's go Allegro, as they say. So now we're going to, I'm going to come into the chat and say hello to everybody. Yeah, let's see who's here. Okay, so don't forget to go in the poll, because whatever the results of the poll are, that's what I'm going to do. Hi, Tracy. Hi, David. Hi, Blue. Hi, Angel. Thanks for the bless you. Oh, Blue's got the house to herself and the dogs, and it's absolute bliss. I know these are the best times, aren't they? It's just awful, isn't it, to feel better when you're alone or whatever, but that's how it is sometimes. Not forever. I mean, I don't want to be on my own forever, but it's so nice when one son goes to work, or when he's in bed or whatever. It's quiet, it's tranquil. Anyway. Yes, I made an effort this morning. I got some new eyeshadow, so I thought I'll put some eyeshadow on. Thank you for those of you saying that I look glamorous. Angel, it's her and the bunny and the laptop. Yep. Oh, David's making breakfast. I haven't had any breakfast. I've had 2 figs. I've got some figs. Now, I do usually another little, but I love figs, and they're on offer at the moment because I suppose it's coming to the end of the season. So I've had 2 figs. That's been my breakfast. I meant to have breakfast, but I just forgot. So. Oh, bless Angel. That's it. We've got to stop criticising ourselves, haven't we? We're just doing the best we can. Life's hard, difficult. We don't do what these twonks do that we talk about on the channel. Do you know what I mean? They don't give a shit, do they, what they do? They don't seem to, you've got Erin, the Mushroom Murderess, murdered 3 people and nearly another one. She doesn't give a shit, does she, about anyone? She just cares about herself. You've got to be kind to yourself. Hi, Liesa. The struggle is real. It certainly is. Certainly is. Yeah, you can never find the end of the sellotape either. Yeah, there's a few things that are ironic, aren't they? That have been. So first of all, you can never get into a package. So what's happened to packaging? So I bought a little eyeshadow palette. This is what I've got on, which I really like it. It's lovely. Oh, it took me about half an hour to get into it. I would be lost without scissors. I use scissors to open everything. I've got scissors all around my house. Even everything needs scissors, because you can't get, the way packaging is these days with the plastic and everything, you can't get into anything. That took me 10 minutes to get into that. Right. What have we got so far with chat? Is too small to see. So David says no, but Tracy's saying leave it as it is, too small, won't be able to see it. Okay. Anyway, we'll see what happens with the poll in the end, and then that's what I'm going to leave the chat off the screen for now for this video, because it's funny. I think some people quite like it on the screen. The thing that I've put it on the screen, and you can make it bigger now with StreamYard, so I think it is easier to see than it was. Because I've got the two channels that are streamed to, I think sometimes people can't see what comments people put on the other channel, and they think, oh, they've been blocked or whatever. So that's why I started putting the chat on the screen. But then other people don't like their chat on the screen. They don't want to chat if they think it's going to be on the screen. So I don't know. Yeah, you need a degree to open packaging. Oh my, even a packet of crisps these days. You used to be able to just pull it open. Now you're like this with you're like, oh my God. And those little sachets, like if you go out to have I don't know, an English breakfast or something, and they give you some packets of ketchup, or, oh my God, you can't get them open without a pair of scissors. It's like everything, all the packaging drives me mad. Drives me absolutely crazy. Everything is so difficult to open. Anyway, I'm going to have a big clear up, I've decided, this weekend. I've thrown quite a lot. I'm going to have a throwaway of things, or charity shop, like some clothes. I just feel like it. I feel like throwing things away. It gives me a good feeling. So anyway, I don't know why I said that, because that's nothing to do with packaging. But anyway, okay, so let me take the banner off. Let's get on with the actual video. We could just chat, couldn't we, really? We could just sit here and chat. That's what we'll be doing on the members later. Oh, there's loads of things I want to chat about on the members. May start it quite early and do it early. So, because the trouble is, if I do it later, there's a double jeopardy. One, I might run out of time before Celebrity Traitors comes on. Though, to be honest, since Jonathan Ross has gone, I'm not so interested in it as I was before, but because I really like Jonathan. But I think I want Alan to win, because he's just been so hilarious, Alan Carr. How nobody sussed him out as being a traitor, I don't know. See, I'm waffling again, aren't I? It doesn't take much, does it? I should be doing that in the members, not in this. So yeah, I don't want to run out of time, and then of course, I don't know what time I'm going to get the call to go and pick up number one son from work, so I may start it a bit earlier, but then I worry about that, because I know some of my members are in Australia and it's too early sometimes for them. So the other thing I can do is wait till after I get number one son, but looking at sort of 11:30 at night then, and that's too late, so you can't win again. Anyway, never mind. Oh, you don't want? No, I don't like Cat. I don't like Cat either. Well, I don't like her. She's been really good. How nobody knew she was a traitor, I don't know, because she's so quiet. She's too quiet. You know what I mean? It's like she just sort of sits there under the radar, doesn't she? And then, yeah, the autistic, oh, God. Oh, yeah, I'm autistic. I've got ADHD. How many people say that? And you just think, shut up. I mean, of course, because it's an insult to people that really do suffer from those things. But people use it as an excuse for being crap at their job sometimes, I think. Oh, well, it's me ADHD. No, it isn't. You're just crap. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, I don't really want Cat to win. I want Alan to win. Who else is there in there now? Really, there's nobody else that I want to win. Big clear out. Clearing out feels good, doesn't it? Especially before Christmas, because you have so much, you accumulate a lot of crap at Christmas, don't you? So you need to. Oh yeah, the rugby man Joe, he's good. Yeah, because he's just so funny without. Doesn't even seem to be trying to be funny, but he is funny. Yeah. So Joe or Alan for me to win. Oh, right. Okay. Good. Thank you, Blue, for saying that. Yeah, because I do think, I do try to sort of accumulate everybody. Did I say accumulate or accommodate? I meant. Right. I'm not really waffling, aren't I? I'm really waffling. There'll be people be like, oh, we wanted to talk about Erin. She's waffling again. It is Vicky Marie Chats, though, isn't it? That's the name of the channel. But I am going to get on with it now. So this was oh gosh, wrong. This is, this is amazing. Oh my God. I've just gone onto my own channel again, I think. Oh, and my mouse has been really acting up, and the mouse and the keyboard have been doing weird things. So I could blame it on that, couldn't I? I could blame it on that, or my ADHD. Now, I think I am sharing now. Yeah. So let's have a look. I just need to show you the channel. So the channel is I Catch Killers, which is it's one of the new Australian news channels. And this is part 2. And the author of this book is Greg Hadrick, who's written a book from the perspective of a juror in the trial. But he was there at the trial, so he has got first-hand knowledge of what happened. And we watched number 1 yesterday, part 1, and now we're going to...
Their entire livers were dead, that most of their bowel was dead, most of their kidneys were. They had suffered through being killed from the inside out. The A23 phone, which had been the one which would have any history of what website she's visited, what Google searches she's done, etc., that is never found. There's a sense of affront that this could be happening to someone like her when she should be starring in her own life.
That's so true, isn't it? Like, Erin was so annoyed, wasn't she? Oh, actually, before we get going, I want to spare a moment to think about the victims in this case, because sometimes the victims get forgotten, I think. So these are the 3 people who died. So we've got Don, who was 70, his wife Gail, also 70, and Heather, who was 66. They are the 3 victims. Triple murder this woman committed on these vulnerable people who were delighted to be invited for lunch with her and did not realise she was always planning to kill them. So before we get going, I just want to say a little prayer for them, because they are the victims, and we must never forget, because the bizarreness of this case, I think, leads to Erin's like the centre of it, isn't she? But at the end of the day, these are the 3 people who died, and Ian is the person who survived, but lost his wife, lost his friends. His life will never be the same. He was mortally ill. He had to have a transplant. So we must think about them before we look at anything else. Okay, just wanted to say that.
Welcome back to part 2 of my chat with Greg Hadrick, the Logie Award-winning screenwriter behind some of the country's biggest crime series and the author of the book, The Mushroom Murderess. We've been taking an in-depth look at the Erin Patterson case. In part 2, we take you into the trial. In preparation for writing the book, Greg witnessed the proceedings of the trial and had access to the court transcripts. Greg knows this case better than most. We talk about the strength of the prosecution case and how the defence team attempted to create enough doubt in the minds of the jury. A lot of things came up that you might not be aware of. My chat with Greg gave me a much greater understanding of what went on in one of the biggest murder trials in the country, If you thought you knew everything about the case, have a listen to our conversation and you might be surprised. Greg Hadrick, welcome back to part 2.
Thank you, Gary.
Of your second time on I Catch Killers. Greg, in part 1 we were talking about the circumstances leading up to the victims of this murder getting sick, the serving of the pie and the taken to hospital, and Erin's reaction to what happened. I think we left off on part 2 with the police starting to become involved, that you've had a lunch, 4 people are critically ill, and the person that served the lunch is going about okay, and homicide were notified at that point in time.
They were, and they for about, it all happened very quickly. I think for about a day they had, it was the informant was Detective Steve Eppingstall.
Yep.
Well, this is an interesting thing that they do in Australia. They could talk about the police informants. And in the UK, the informants would, an informant is someone, isn't it, that like maybe a grass, somebody, or a grass, depending on which part of Britain you come from, a grass or a grass. Someone who informs the police, tells the police about somebody else. That is what a grass, and it's a bad thing to be in Manchester. Let me tell you now, if you're a grass in Manchester, you don't go to the police. But anyway, that would be an informant in the UK. Whereas here in Australia, the police informants, when they talk about the police informant, they're talking about the detective in charge. It's interesting, isn't it?
And he says they sort of watched it for a day. And then on the 4th...
There was a comment in your book, and it reminded me, and it's a bit of black humour that comes in the world of policing and homicide, that we're not the nearly homicide. Because, and I had a bit of a chuckle, and this is a very serious case we're talking about, but that was very much the narrative in homicide, that often we get called about anything that's happened, and you get that many calls when you're on call. You have to draw the line and say, look, we will come if the person is dead. Up until that point in time, unless it's obvious, we don't go out. So I had a bit of a chuckle. That was police jargon.
It was police jargon, the nearly homicide squad.
Nearly the homicide squad.
So they had to, they started the 3rd, they are looking at it, and they've been told about it. And it's around about then when Erin takes the dehydrator to the Coonawarra tip. I think that happens on the 2nd, actually, on Wednesday the 2nd.
Then as soon as she realises the police are interested, the dehydrator that she's never had a dehydrator, gets taken to the tip. And somebody left a comment on on the previous video yesterday. Because remember, I've got all these peppers to use up. If you watch the video yesterday, you'll know what I mean. And somebody left a comment. You may as well have Erin's dehydrator to sort your peppers out, because she's never going to be using it again. Oh dear, it's really funny because, dehydrate. I couldn't be arsed with all that, to be honest. I hate faff. I'm not a faff person. I mean, I made a lovely lunch yesterday with the peppers, like a pepper soup and pasta soup, and it was lovely. So, but the trouble is we've got to eat that for the next 2 weeks, but never mind.
And I think she says she took that because she knew that the child protection workers were doing they had to visit the home environment to check that the kids would be okay. And so she knew that they were going to arrive in an hour's time. And there was a food dehydrator on the kitchen bench. Yeah. So...
remember, she had to sort her daughter's bally bag out, even though, her family that she'd fed a meal to were dying, and she might have died and the kids might have died. But no, more important was the ballet bag. But she wanted to go back and sort out. She had things to sort out, didn't she?
She decided, get rid of that.
Get rid of that, covering up the evidence. Before we talk how the case built against Erin, the 3 of the 4 died. from who consumed the meal.
Poor things.
It became apparent in the reading of your book and stuff that I've picked up in the media how horrendous their deaths were.
Yeah.
And I think, we talk about this, and Erin's attracted the attention of people for so many different reasons. But we got 3 good people who have lost their lives
Lovely
in a
people.
very painful,
torturous. Way. It was terrible, and Justice Bill made a point of that in his sentencing remarks as well. That the language when you say people are killed by mushrooms makes it sound soft.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a knife, it's not a gun, it's it's not an axe, it's a mushroom. And yet, the autopsies on poor Gail and Heather showed that their entire livers were dead, and that most of their bowel was dead, most of their kidneys were. They had suffered through being killed from the inside out.
Yeah. Killed from the inside out. We must never forget this, what these people went through. Would have been more humane to have shot them, because this took place over a few days. Agony, pain, vomiting, diarrhea, you name it. These people suffered it, and then in the end they died from the inside out. And that horrible woman, as soon as she sat there and watched them eat every mouthful, this is what I can't get over my head. Like, she greeted them at the door, she seated them, she sat there and watched them eat it, and then got them to pray for her because she had said she had cancer, which of course she didn't. I just don't think there's anything worse than this crime, honestly. To literally, do you know what? I think she would have loved it. She would have loved it, playing God. That is Erin Patterson. I tell you what, if this woman gets anything changed with it, well, I hope she gets a longer sentence. I hope that's what happens. Now the prosecution have had plenty of time to and they're bloody good anyway, the prosecution. I think that the vileness of what Erin did just cannot be underestimated. Just can't be.
Which, as I say in the book, for me is almost like being drawn and quartered. It's shocking.
It was horrendous.
Like being drawn and quartered.
And I hadn't even picked up on the fact that you say it didn't seem like a violent death because it's mushroom pie, and we sort of have a bit of a snicker about that, but we should really understand the pain that these people went through. And the survivor, of course.
And indeed.
Not only he lost his wife, but he was in a coma for a very long time, I think.
3 weeks, I think. Before he was finally extubated. And then in rehab for weeks after that. Claims, and I'm sure he's telling the truth, Ian is a very honest guy, that his health will never be the same.
Yeah.
What they went through was a horrific ordeal.
Yeah.
And
it is a miracle that Ian survived. Thank you, God, because if he hadn't survived, he has been able to give his testimony. And Erin practically accused him of being a liar, didn't she, about the plates? Oh no, Ian, who is blatantly an honest, sincere, lovely man. When we've seen him being interviewed, you could not think he was anything more than that, or less than that, I should say. Erin tried to make it look like he just misremembered. So thank you, God, that Ian survived and could, give evidence against this hateful woman.
And it shouldn't be forgotten when people go, oh, mushroom lady and mushroom killer, that language softens what was really happening.
And very real victims and a very horrendous crime. We've got the homicide involved. We've got they're starting to look at the case. And when the victims passed away, I would imagine that it was led by homicide.
It was 2 a.m. on. So they're starting. They are becoming more involved on the third. Steve Eppingstall said, we knew they had medical information that particularly Heather and Gail, were not going to survive.
Yeah.
So they were doing a report for the coroner, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 a.m. on the morning of the 4th, overnight, Heather's the first one to die.
Yeah.
And at that point, it became a homicide case.
Okay.
Yeah. So by 7 o'clock that morning or 7:30 that morning, Steve Eppingstall and his team are there. So within 5 or 6 hours of Heather dying, it's an active homicide case.
Okay. Now, did they? I would imagine they went to Erin's home.
Well, first of all, they got the bank records.
Yeah.
They actually didn't go to. They went to Erin's home on the 5th. So this is now. So the sequence of events for them was, they, however, you know more than I about what you've got to do to go through to get people's bank records, but they got them for the previous 2 months, I think it was. Meg, I forget her name, I should know, was looking through them from the 3rd back.
Yeah.
So she was from the latest day back.
And looking, I would imagine the purchase of the mushrooms, that it's not just gathering evidence to prove the offence, it's to discount the version.
That's right,
events.
of all of that.
Yeah.
And within a couple of hours, she comes across the transaction where Erin has gone, to the local tip, to the Coonwarra transfer station.
Right.
Literally 2 days before. And she took that to Steve and go, well, she chucked something out. What has she chucked out? They get straight onto the officers at the Coonwarra transfer station. He goes to the CCTV and says, because they know the time of the transaction.
When she's done the drop.
Yeah, and there she is, getting out of a car and taking a big box and putting it in the tip. And so they send a worker down there to get it out, and it's a dehydrator. And Steve calls the local cops and says, can you pick it up for us at Wonthaggi? And they went later that afternoon and picked it up. So before the end of the day, of the first day of the investigation, they had Erin's dehydrator that she'd thrown out 2 days before.
Okay. And had Erin mentioned that mushrooms that she put in the dehydrator?
At this stage, she's still claiming...
Yeah. So at this stage, she's still claiming she's never had a dehydrator. And didn't they find a manual? They found a manual, like an instruction manual in her drawer or whatever, and they said to her, well, you've got an instruction manual for a dehydrator. She said, oh, maybe I bought that years ago. So these lies, she's crazy to appeal. Surely it's not going to go anywhere.
She never foraged anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's claiming, and so the cops then...
So at this point, she's claiming she's never foraged anything. She hasn't got a dehydrator. She's never had a dehydrator. She's lying through her teeth. But then later, when she says, oh, yeah, I had foraged and I did have a dehydrator. And yeah, I know I lied, but now I'm telling the truth.
They wait until it's later that night on the 4th. So this is all happening on the 4th. So the 2 a.m. on the 4th is when Heather dies. That day of the 4th is when they get the dehydrator from the tip. That night of the 4th, Gail dies.
Yep.
And on the 5th, they raid. They go and search the house.
And what did they find? Anything of interest at the house?
Well, they found... several computers, which they were looking for communication devices. Yeah. They found the manual of the dehydrator with some other manuals, which was handy. They were looking for the dinner plates, but by then there were no grey plates.
Never found those dinner plates.
Yep.
But they took photos of everything in the kitchen and took some phones. Not all the phones, but some of the phones. And, of course, they asked Erin to hand over her phone, her main phone that she'd been using all year, and that's when she had, while the house was being searched, she switched her phones. Okay,
break this down for us, Greg, because this,
So this is she's from February. She's bought a new Samsung A23 that had a phone number in it that was the phone number that everyone contacted her on, which ended in 783.
Yeah, and then she switched the phones, didn't she? Gave them a dummy phone. Do you remember? She threw it at the policeman and said, oh, your job's easy. God, she's such a arrogant bitch.
And
Sorry.
that's been her main phone throughout all these months that she's been doing whatever planning has been necessary for this crime. And in the trial, she claims that the phone started playing up and had a screen which froze a bit conveniently just a day or two before the raid.
Yeah, she's like Stefan Stearns there. Oh, yeah, accidentally did a factory reset. Oh, my God. Dear, oh, dear.
She's still using it,
Yeah.
and it's still accepting and receiving texts and calls,
until the
etc.,
raid.
right up until the raid. And Steve Eppingstall, as the informant, is walking around with her and mostly sort of accompanying her around the house while the cops do the search. And at some point, she manages to take the SIM card out of that phone. We know it was in it at 12:01, and we know it was out of it by 1:40. So sometime in that hour and a half, she's taken the SIM card out of her main phone, put the main phone somewhere, and put a SIM card from her tablet, which had a different phone number, ended in 835, into a second handset.
Now, the police did make a mistake there, didn't they? Because they allowed her to be on her own in a room for while she said she needed to phone her lawyer. That was a mistake. That was a mistake by the police. But having said that, maybe it worked out okay because this is part of the evidence against her, because it was proven that she did switch over her SIM cards. But oh my God, that arrogant woman.
Which she said, I just wanted to stop Simon from bothering me, and you know, so I was going to change my phone number anyway.
Yeah.
But she decides to do it in the middle of a police search. And then when the cops at the end of the search ask her to surrender her phone, the one she gives them is phone B, which she had also factory reset
Right.
while she was walking around with the cops. Clearing everything off it.
Yeah.
And that's the one that you see her hand over. And the 783, the A23 phone, which had been the one which would have it.
Honestly, factory reset is the clearest red flag you can ever imagine, isn't it? When is the last time that you factory reset your phone? I mean, the only time you would factory reset your phone is if you were, I don't know, giving it to someone else, like, you know, well, I've never done it, to be honest. I've never, ever factory reset any of my phones. I might have taken things, you know, if, I don't know, if I was lending my phone to number one son because his phone was broken, or if I was selling a phone to someone else, you would factory reset it, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't want them to see it. Why on earth? There is no reason to factory reset your phone. So, well, you tell me, any of you out there, have you ever factory reset your phone? And if so, why? You know, why did you do it? You know, what's the reason?
History of what website she's visited, what Google searches she's done, etc. That is never found. The cops never find that.
It tells me something about her. I've seen organised crime types that have got that that calmness to, you know, they're sitting there talking as they're changing the SIM card in their phone and all that. But it shows a little bit about her, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, but I suppose callous enough to invite people over and know you're going to feed them a.
It does. He's right. It says a lot about somebody that they can sit literally in front of you, and as they're in front of you and talking about the weather or whatever she was talking about, be calmly and callously, you know, removing her SIM card or factory resetting her phone, as calm as a cucumber. You know, Erin is a psychopath, I think. I think she is a psychopath because she seems to care about her children, but I don't think she really does. Because if she really cared about her children, one, she accused them of being liars as well, didn't she? You know, Erin just disregards everybody in her life. Everyone and everything in her life is there for her. You know, she'll use her children. She likes to say she's a good mom. That's what she wants people to think. I bet she never has those moments that we were talking about at the beginning of this video. Oh, God, I'm a terrible mother. I've done everything wrong. You know, I think any parent gets parents' guilt from time to time. We think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, dealt with that wrong. Especially when you look back, later on, you think, yeah, I should have. Erin doesn't take any she's got no self-criticism. She's perfect. She's brilliant. She would never think that what she did, that she'd been a bad mum or that she'd done something wrong against her children. But as I say, those children have had such a lucky escape because that's how it is now while they're in her control. But as those children get older and other things come into play, like they do with adult children, partners, for example, oh God, that'd be it. She'd be poisoning their bloody partner that she didn't like. Them disagreeing with her on things, because children start disagreeing with you, don't they, when they get older? They had a lucky escape. There's nothing that is beyond Erin.
Lethal meal can sit there and calmly manage to hold your mettle enough to change a SIM card in the phone while police are executing a search warrant for suspected murder.
Yeah,
that's family members.
That's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, it's callous.
She manages to do that.
Yep.
She then puts that 783 SIM into a Nokia phone, and as I say, we never have found.
Yep.
No one's ever found that her main phone. The cops take that phone. At that point, they think that is her main phone. She's done that. She actually fooled them, and it's in a safe in Steve Eppingstall's office in Spencer Street. And that night, Erin wonders if they've turned it off or disconnected it from the internet, and she does a find my phone search and realises they haven't. So even though she doesn't have to because it's already clean, she factory resets it remotely again.
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock in the morning from her bedroom in Leongatha.
Yeah.
Yeah, she factory reset it again, remotely. And remember what she said in her she said, I thought, surely they wouldn't be so stupid to leave it thingy. So I thought, I'll just try it and see if I can reset it. And it worked. Honestly, I'm going to put a poll on my channel. How many of you can see from the answers you put there, it's not a thing that people do, is it? You don't commonly factory reset your phone unless there's a reason for it, unless you're trying to hide something. I think that was a very good point you made, David. Never buy a second-hand phone. It's true, because you don't know what might be on there. If somebody's selling that, imagine buying Erin's phone and then it turns up you've got death cap mushrooms on it and this, that and the other. It's true, actually. Buying a second-hand phone is a risk. Because even if it's been factory reset, the police can still recall things on it. Maybe it'd have PDF images on it. You just don't know, do you? What might be on it? And I think that's a very good point. Never buy a second-hand phone. I never buy one, but I bought one only for once. Well, it wasn't my phone. It wasn't for me. It was for number one's son. But literally, it hadn't really been used. It just had numbers on it that it was a friend of mine. But yeah, don't buy a second-hand phone. I think there's a real lesson there. Oh, because you'd be, if you're going to be saying to the police, oh, no, I didn't know about those PDF images.
Yeah.
It tells a lot about it.
Yeah.
It tells a lot. And why this is going on, there's some other things that are coming out. She's not reacting the way that you would think. Like if these people are so close to her, the closest family she's got, she's invited them to lunch and they're all in hospital on their way to dying or have died, and she doesn't seem to be reacting.
She never asks how they are. Never says, can I go and see them? Can I just
she never
maybe apologise profusely for whatever I did that caught nothing.
Okay.
Never goes near them. Complains that no one tells her what's going on. But then she doesn't ask. She could have easily called Simon and said how are they going. It's the cops who arrive and tell her that Heather and Gail have both died.
Yeah.
But even then, she doesn't call anyone or offer any condolence.
Do you I'm just, you think how. So you've fed these people this food that has killed. Not even like if you think, or even if you think, if you give it the benefit of the doubt, and it was a terrible accident, you've given these people a lunch that has killed them. Or maybe before they died, when they were like really ill, you would be saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You'd be on the phone to Simon. You'd be asking if you could, if you, as he says, if you were supposedly so close to these people, especially Don and Gail, wouldn't you want to go and see them and say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know anything about it." Or at least you would be sending your regards with Simon or whoever was allowed in to see them. You would be phoning every hour really to see what what the progress was.
That we were told at court, all, and the first interview, a lot of which you can now find online, that happens after that police search. So that search finishes around about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
There's a lot of image there of them sitting at a table.
Yeah,
is that
that's all that search.
Yeah.
While that search is happening.
Okay.
So and all of that was presented at court.
Yeah.
And while she's sitting at that table, I have the other thing that the police did. I think, I'm not sure if you've read this in the book, is that they catalogue all the things they took during the search, but there were a couple of laptops that were left there, and it did make it look like it was a bit of a sloppy search and they missed things that they really should have picked up. And I just wonder, knowing from other cases, from other homicide cops, interesting to know what you think, but that I suspect that was deliberate.
See my poker face, Greg?
Yes.
For those just listening, there's a poker face.
But I'd be very surprised if they hadn't left them there to see if she continued incriminating behaviour.
Yeah.
But that never came out in court. That's just me from knowledge of other cases going.
Yeah, interested, isn't it? So, the police trying to maybe set her up a little bit, leave some of her devices there, see if she carried on doing anything. Because do you know what? This was a real. It was a real chess game, wasn't it, between Erin and the police? She thought she was cleverer than them. They knew they were cleverer than her because she's not as clever as she thinks she is. So that's quite possible, isn't it? And sometimes the police do that, try and entrap someone. So that's an interesting observation from this guy. It's a very interesting guy.
They knew exactly what they were doing there.
They certainly would have had their focus on her. What about the item taken from the tip that she disposed of?
So that is now back at Wonthaggi Station, which is where the cops take her after the search for her interview.
Yep.
So they start asking, why she had the lunch, and she says, I just want to stay in touch with they're my family and my grandparents, etc. Then they talk about whether she ever foraged for any food. She denies ever foraging. Did you ever, dry or dehydrate any food? And she goes, no, never.
Yeah. So at this point, she's still saying she's never foraged or dehydrated anything. The other thing, like when they were saying to her, why did you have this lunch? She doesn't mention what. Oh, thank God Ian survived. Thank God Ian survived. Because if Ian had died, imagine, Erin would be able to say whatever she liked. There would be nothing to say that she had, got that lunch together to tell them she had cancer, which she didn't. Do you know, but there's only Ian who was there who can vouch for that. So at this time, when they're asking, she's probably praying that Ian dies at this point, that they all die. Because if they all die, nobody can say that she was telling them that she had cancer. So at this point, she's saying, oh, yeah, she just had the lunch because she wanted to keep in touch and blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. But really, Ian knows what happened, whereas she said she'd had the lunch to tell them, to ask their advice about having cancer and how to tell the children. And she got them all there praying for her. Oh, my God. You can't, every time you think about this case and you look into it, not only she poisoned them and sat there watching them eating the poison, she then got them to pray for her because she said she had cancer, which she didn't have. So as they were praying for her for the cancer that she didn't have, she knew. She was contemptuous of religion anyway. She doesn't believe in God. And she knew that they were ticking time bombs. They were dead people walking. And she must have been smirking away to herself. You're all going to be dead within a day or so. Nobody will know that I pretended I had cancer. So, yeah, I tell you what, God was definitely there looking after Ian, at least, making sure he could testify.
And the dehydrator is in the next room. It's literally, they've already got it and it's in the next room.
Yeah, it's nice locking people into lies when you know they're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he knew that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And
let her hang herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a great interview in the sense that he then goes back to her presentation at hospital and asks her about that, and when she did end up at Monash Medical Centre for a day and was under observation, what the doctors thought then, and when she found out about, what might have actually caused the other guests to be unwell, etc.
Yeah.
So he goes all of that, and then he comes back and says, "Let me go through what we took from the house. First of all, this manual for a sunbeam dehydrator.
Yeah.
What's that about?" And she denies it again. And I thought, to me, I think they've given her every opportunity.
Yeah, they've been fair.
To think through this, have a think. Now I'm going to give you another chance.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? And she denies it again.
Yeah.
And no.
They gave her so many chances, because if she would have said from the beginning, "Oh yeah, I did forage for mushrooms, I must have got mixed up," she would have had a chance of getting off with this crime, wouldn't she? And of course, her other problem is that Ian survived. If Ian hadn't survived, I think it would have been a struggle to convict Erin. But yeah, so look, at the end of the day, if somebody came and looked through my drawers, thought through my drawers, and I don't mean knickers, I mean proper drawers. You've got a lot of old. I'm going to chuck that. I'm going to have a big chuck out this weekend. And but I've got manuals. So you never use them, do you? You get, I bought an air fryer. I've never used the manual once, but probably the manual is in a drawer somewhere. So imagine the police come into my house. So have you ever owned an air fryer? Because I've thrown the air fryer out because I've poisoned someone with something that I've cooked in it. Let's imagine that I've took the air fryer, I've dumped it. No, I've never had an air fryer. Oh, well, what about this manual that we found in your drawer? Oh, my God, the Holy Spirit must have put it in there. Obviously, at some point, if you've got a manual, you might not have it now, the item, whatever it is. But if you've got a manual somewhere in one of your drawers, you have had that item at some point, because there's absolutely no other reason why you would have it there, is there? So, this is what I mean about Erin. She's not clever. She's a thicko. She's stupid.
Might have had one years and years ago, but don't.
Again, those vague answers that give you a little bit of leeway either way.
Yeah. And so they finished that interview, and Steve actually drove her back home that night. And it's that night that she factory resets the phone remotely in the office. But I think you can tell from what they've already got, what they already recovered, the way she behaved in that interview, the way she lied about everything. Yeah. They'd be thinking, you're
thinking you got a case, but as was highlighted in your dissecting the trial, beyond reasonable doubt, three murders and attempt murder, the evidence looks overwhelming, but the element of doubt can be, was it an accident? Was it an accident? And the defence have just got to chip away in the minds of a couple of the jury members, and all of a sudden this person...
You get that doubt, because, she's lying because she's dead scared that she's going to be, accused of killing them. And you go, well, yes. But does that explain everything? And there's...
Well, I'm looking at some of the things from breaking down the notes that I've made from reading the book and the other media accounts of what's gone on, like the points you'd be looking at, like how strong was her anger against Simon, and she's not going to say I wanted to kill him, but what was it? Was there evidence there suggesting that there was a hatred or an anger towards Simon?
Well, there was back in December.
Yeah.
But in the months leading up to the lunch, not so much. I mean, he'd said, no, I don't want to come to lunch with you.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing in particular the prosecution could point to that illustrated, building hatred.
Yeah, it makes it hard because the jury, like we sit and struggle sometimes with motive, or we were talking about struggling with motive. The jury, if she's making threats, you're going to regret what you've done to me and all that. But so the prosecution can present, well, they've separated, but the defence can go, well, there's lots of people who've separated, and play it off that way.
Yeah.
Why did she invite the guests to lunch? Well, claims to tell them about her cancer diagnosis. How did she explain that away? Like in the trial?
In the trial, she admitted that she had to admit that was a lie because there is no record of any cancer diagnosis, and the prosecution was saying she was expecting all four of them to be dead, and no one would know that she'd ever said that.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
In the trial, she said, look, I did have a real medical issue. I'd been embarrassed about my weight and it had been a growing issue, and I'd been bulimic for 20 years and it was stressing me out, and I had to do something about it, and I'd made a booking to investigate doing gastric bypass surgery, and that was really the medical issue that was on my mind, but I was too embarrassed to actually say that to them. But I was looking at being in hospital for that surgery
And this was her giving evidence at the trial?
At the trial.
Yeah.
The prosecution, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure of this, they had no idea of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you want to have a gastric bypass and you're thinking, how am I going to say, I know, I'll say I've got cancer. Obviously, you would not say that. You might say, I don't know, you've got a gallstone, or you've got a kidney stone, or you've got a hernia. There's lots of other things you could have said that you needed to go into hospital for. You would not say you had cancer. And it's interesting what he says here, that he doesn't think the prosecution knew about this. I mean, Erin, in her superiority, she hung herself because she decided she was going to give evidence, and she let things out. When you present yourself and give evidence, she let things out that the prosecution probably didn't know about before. They went and did their homework, and they exposed all the crap that she came out with, didn't they? They exposed it all.
Until her evidence in chief at the very end of the trial.
Yeah. And just to bring people up to speed, sorry, I've jumped ahead.
Yeah.
But how long after the death of the three people, the deaths of the three people, was she charged?
She was charged on the 2nd of November 2023. They died in the first week of August, so 3 months.
Okay, 3 months she's charged. Yeah. Now we've sort of fast-forwarded to the trial, and we're at the trial. With the trial, again,
So she had 3 months of freedom. She was lucky to get that, to be honest. Wasn't she? I mean, 3 months of freedom.
So people understand that an accused person doesn't have to give evidence. It's up to the prosecutors to prove the case, to prove the allegations against the accused. And then once they've done that, then the accused presents their defence. And the accused doesn't have to get in the witness box, and very rarely do accuse people get in the witness box, especially at murder trials, because it opens them up to all sorts of cross-examination, and it invariably goes bad for them. She chose to get in there. Why do you think she chose to get in there?
There were things in her story that I think only she could explain, and only she had an explanation for.
Yep.
And I think she felt if she had any chance of being able to create reasonable doubt in the minds of a jury, it would be her who would be able to do that.
Okay.
I think that's why.
So your reading of it, listening to it, following it, was she was pretty well jammed up after the prosecution finished their case.
Yeah.
And she had to present something, and she had no witnesses to come in to say no, she was in the state at the time or whatever. It wasn't that type of case.
Yeah, she had no one except for herself who could explain it.
And so she rolled the dice and thought that she'd get away with it. So, getting back to what you were talking about before, the cancer, she agrees it wasn't cancer, but what it was an embarrassing medical condition, and she had actually booked in to get a gastric band surgery. Is it? That's
what's it called? Gastric.
When did you have it last?
Yeah. So during her evidence in chief, when Colin Mandy was asking her these questions, she just said she was giving her history of being bulimic and her history of having terribly embarrassing issues with her weight and needing to address it, and that she had a plan to do gastric bypass surgery. That's all in her evidence in chief. When Nanette Rogers was cross-examining her, this is in the last 2 or 3 days of the trial, and she's challenging, what she said the lunch was about, and gets to the point where this apparent plan for gastric surgery, and Nanette says something like, "But it was nothing more than a plan, was it? You're just sort of making this up." Yeah. And she said, "No, I had an appointment," and that really threw.
That would have been silence.
That it was like, what?
Yeah.
And she said, "No, where with?" And with the Enrich Clinic in Melbourne. I had an appointment to see someone to discuss this surgery, and that was a shoe drop moment in the trial, because the prosecution did not know that at all, and so that was on a Friday morning, and they literally had Friday afternoon to try and figure out what the hell that was all about, because they only had another day or two.
She would have been finished.
She would have been finished. Yeah. And I remember listening to it and thinking, that does put it different. If she really had an appointment to do this, with a surgeon who was going to do this surgery for her, and she's given this history, all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my God, well, that does explain the lunch.
That's where it's on that delicate balance, isn't it? Because that you buy into that and you go, oh, she's telling the truth there, and I understand she's embarrassed to talk about the nature of the surgery, but it was a medical condition. That's all explainable. So it's those little things that can make a difference.
It can.
Yeah.
And one of their practitioners who did offer liposuction. Yeah. So he was trying to sort of backtrack
to soften the lie, and it was an honest mistake.
It was an honest mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she would have looked at this, but there are just too many times where you try and take Erin at her word and then you realise you can't.
In the
too
way she
lies.
responded when she was called out, is there still that calmness about her? Like it's not the sort of collapse at head or
No, there wasn't. There was never a collapsed head moment. There was never oh my God, I'm done for.
Okay. Just I've lost a point here. But
I'll keep going. Keep batting.
There are a couple of other things like serving of the food, grey plates, a separate plate for her. Did that play out in the trial?
There was a lot of discussion about the plates because she obviously claimed she never had 4 grey plates, and
Ian was adamant.
Ian was adamant that she had.
Yeah.
Well, you know who you believe, don't you?
The plates the police found
her?
during their search, and I think there were 2 black ones and there were 2 black and red ones, and there was one.
The thing is, once it came to the testimony about the plates, the jurors already knew about all the lies that Erin had told about the cancer, about the gastric bypass, about the dehydrator, about the foraging. How many lies can you tell and you still expect the jury to believe you? So when it came to the plates and all that, and obviously Ian is such a genuine guy, he comes over as genuine, he's a very convincing witness. They obviously weren't going to believe Erin, even if it was true. Even if it was true that she never had any grey plates and Ian was mistaken. By this point, nobody's going to believe a word she says.
That her daughter had made at kindergarten or somewhere, which was sort of a multicoloured one. There weren't many, and in fact, Simon said to the police, he said she never did have many plates.
Yeah.
She never had many plates because she's not a good cook. This is one of those fallacies about Erin. She wasn't making a beef Wellington. It's not an easy thing. When you've got people over for lunch, you make a spaghetti bolognese, don't you? Or a lasagna or a curry or something easy. If you decide to make beef Wellingtons, separate beef Wellingtons for 5 people, including her, that's a big, it takes a long time. There's a reason why it was a beef Wellington, I think, for the mushrooms, but also Erin did say, and I think this is not made enough, is not mentioned enough. Erin said that when she was a kid, if it was a special occasion, they would have beef Wellington. Erin's got a connection with beef Wellington in her head, because there are a lot of other dishes you could have put death cat mushrooms in. There's something with Erin, that needs looking at. Why did she feel this connection with beef Wellington? And I honestly believe her parents, who died of cancer, supposedly, their deaths need to be looked into, because somebody was saying, I think it was Alana yesterday, when somebody's got cancer and they die, there's not always big investigations made into how they died, because you say, oh, well, they had cancer. Sometimes I'm not sure about her parents, how they died. I wouldn't put anything past Erin. And I think that the beef Wellington thing is a big connection in her head. Why did she make beef Wellington that day?
But those were the only ones the police could find when they did their search. And they matched what Erin had said she'd put the beef Wellingtons on. Not at all what Ian said she'd put the beef Wellingtons on. And Ian he was a very credible witness.
Yeah.
He just was, particularly because, he couldn't remember exactly what people said in the conversation, blah, blah, blah. When he wasn't entirely sure, he was quite honest about saying, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But when he was sure, he just had
lock it in,
a quiet certainty that you just couldn't resist. And then jumping forward a little bit, what we didn't know until all the pre-trial rulings on admissibility and inadmissibility of evidence, which were lifted 4 weeks after the trial.
Yeah.
The jury never got to hear this during the trial proper. But the minute the lunch was finished, at 3:00, when Don and Gail and Ian and Heather drove off and the boys were in the TV computer room, she took a box of rubbish to the tip.
Yeah.
And that happened within 15 minutes of the lunch ending.
And are you privy to the
Yeah, so within 15 minutes of that lunch finishing, and this is a Saturday, remember, so it's a weekend, she was down the tip. 15 minutes after they drove off. Bye, thanks for the lovely meal, delicious, they described it as, didn't they? They went off not knowing that they were dead people walking. And Erin, what did she do? Got in her car and took something to the tip. That's where the grey plates disappeared to, I think.
The logic of the ruling of that being excluded from evidence?
I believe, yes, that's been released. They're not trying to hide it. I believe it's because when the police found out about that trip to the tip, it was about a week and a half later.
Yeah.
And they couldn't recover what she'd thrown out. So because there was no evidence.
So very sadly, they could not recover what she'd thrown out because too much time had gone. Sad.
That it was just innocuous, that it was just food scraps. They said it'd be too prejudicial to put it in, thinking it might have been something prejudicial.
You don't take food scraps to the tip, do you? Your food scraps go in the bin.
Because the next time she took something to the tip, it was definitely...
It definitely was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose we do need those protections in place, but...
I suppose that...
Sorry, I'm trying to be reasonable here, Greg. I just wanted to come across reasonable.
Look, I can understand that. I can understand the reasoning behind that. I and this is, I haven't done, big legal surveys and forensic examination of it, but just listening to the number of crime cases I've listened to and followed, the law and judges are very strong on saying to a jury, you are the arbiters of fact. You are the ones who decide what is and isn't fact. Let me deal with what law is and make sure it's a fair trial, but you decide what's fact. Time and again you realise they can only decide what's fact and what's presented to them. Yeah. And a lot of times, like with that trip to the tip immediately after lunch, why couldn't you say to a jury, it might have been innocuous, we have no evidence. But
now, I'm just going to show you that trip to the tip because, it's interesting, isn't it? Let's have a look at the video. 15 minutes after they left, this was her turning up at the tip that was just up the road. Well, 30 minutes by the time she got there. Now, they're cardboard boxes, but why did she go 15 minutes later? Or were there plates in those cardboard boxes hidden? Just seems a strange thing to do. So 15 minutes after they left, off she went to the tip. Why? Does seem weird, doesn't it? Let's watch that one more time. Now, she must know that there are cameras there. Are the plates in that cardboard? I don't know. So it was too long afterwards. They could never find whatever it is. Wonder where those plates ended up. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the other.
But it did happen, and let the jury be the arbiters of fact that you say they are.
Greg, I'm with you on that. We've got the jury system because we want to rely on being judged by your peers on the available evidence, and they're put on this pedestal to make judgment on another, one of their peers, but they're only provided limited information.
Limited bits.
Yeah,
and I think if you either trust them that they understand what prejudice and bias is and know how to take that into account, or you don't. And if you do, I think more should be ruled inadmissible than the law currently allows. Yeah. That's not to say it should be open slather and everything. Yeah. But I think at the moment the pendulum's just swung a bit too much.
And the judges, in the judges summing up, give the warnings, the necessary warnings, and they could have explained it the way that you just explained it. But it's frustrating from a policing point of view, seeing the jury sit there, and you can see them literally scratch their heads sometimes, and there's something missing here. We know
it's missing.
Why was that just cut off, or why have we been excluded from the court where we're judging whether this person is guilty of murder? And they've just had 3 hours of... Right,
fast forwarding a bit because
apparently nothing else.
Much more time.
And that was enough that, when she started to feel symptoms at 7 o'clock, it was because of that. And you go, okay. But the difference... You still come back to thinking, and I think that while you're putting doubt in someone's mind, but then you go, 3 people died. One very, very nearly died, and she was discharged after a couple of hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And you go, that's not just an incremental difference. That's
It was a huge
difference.
And there was a reluctance to get tested to start, and the reluctance to bring the kids in. The other thing that I found from your book, from your juror, and I think this is the type of thing that goes through a jury's mind, where you're sitting there, and I think it was just sort of a reflection of what goes on in the juror's mind, that Erin was saying that she had I think it was a 3-hour round trip that she had to take, and to drop her son somewhere.
Flying lessons.
And she was getting round in white pants.
Yes.
And like the jurors just thinking, and this, I'm sure, and it's not legal basis, I'm sure this is how the jurors process stuff. If you had diarrhea, would you be wearing white pants? Yeah, like little things like that.
Yeah.
But these are all the type of things that go through the mind. Getting rid of the dehydrator, we've talked about that. But what explanation did she give when she was in the witness box for getting rid of the dehydrator?
Sheer panic. That she thought if it was left there, and she thought that Katrina Cripps from Child Protection was coming around that afternoon.
Yeah.
And if she saw that she had a dehydrator, which still had mushroom crumbs on it, because that's how they found that she was likely to be blamed for it. Yeah.
And did she, and I might have this wrong, but didn't she allude to or claim that Simon also accused her at some, did you?
Yes. No, that happened. So before she gets
into you early throughout your policing career or investigative career as a detective, that lies that don't make them guilty. When they're self-serving lies, I start to form none of her lies have been detrimental to her.
No.
Like, they're all self-serving lies. And when people tell me, oh, look, there might be a mental health issue, but every sort of thing that's coming out of their mouth is self-serving. I weigh that some people are liars. We've all met them, like the compulsive liars. But when they're self-serving lies, I start to look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And what I see from all her lies, everything was to distance her from the offence that she's committed.
Yeah.
How long were the jury out?
8 days, I think.
Okay.
Which seemed long at the time, but I'm not sure it is all that long for a 9-10 week trial.
Yeah, there's a lot to process. And
Yeah.
They would have known the pressure was on.
Yeah, do you remember that? It seemed to go on forever waiting for the verdict. I mean, the trial went on forever, but the verdict seemed to take forever as well.
Decisions. When they came back, were you surprised, or what were you thinking the result would be?
When they came back, I was in the camp of thinking Erin was guilty.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was a juror. I still had that corner of a doubt that it would only take 1 or 2 of them to go, it's not quite beyond reasonable.
Yeah.
So if you'd asked me the day before, I would have said maybe 70-30 being convicted, but it wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, yeah.
Having heard the whole thing.
What was the media pack like? Because I know the media pack are always discussing and having bets on which way it's going to go.
I think more people. I don't think there were very few who thought she was innocent.
Yeah.
And again, I think the minority were still not sure if she'd be convicted.
Right. Okay.
The majority thought she would be and deserved to be, but not by a huge. It wasn't 99%.
Right.
It had been a. The defence had done a very good job of muddying enough moments, but at the end of the day, as even Colin Mandy said in the sentencing hearings, it was very grave offending, and but it was a fascinating case to hear.
Yeah, even her own defence said what a grave offence it was. I think Colin Mandy was quite half-hearted. He knew she was a twat, didn't he?
Hear every detail and track the journey of how a jury deals with, as I said, the curated and limited bits of evidence they have, but looking in their totality to reach a conclusion that there was no other reasonable explanation but guilt.
There was, we touched on one of the pieces of information, the fact that she went to the tip straight after the lunch. Also the fact that there was 3 other charges for attempt murder of Simon, her husband.
They were, and they were part of the trial right up until I think 2 days before the trial started.
Okay, so she was charged with those 3 other attempt murders.
Yeah, so she was actually facing 7 charges.
Yeah.
Justice Beale had, I think, ruled 3 of those charges. Anyway, he didn't want 3 of them to proceed.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the legal term is. And the prosecution took that to the Court of Appeal in Victoria.
Yeah, so we still don't know about those 3 other charges for trying to kill her ex-husband. So, that's all to do. Anyway, so we've got the appeal coming up. I think I'm going to stop this now. So just don't forget, this woman, surely she's not going to get anywhere with this appeal. It could end up that she ends up getting a longer sentence. In other words, life without parole. I bloody hope so. I think the reason she's appealing, she should have felt lucky with the result she got. That she's got a chance of parole, even though it's far into the future. But no, not Erin, you see, because she's never gonna, she's not that sort of person, is she? I mean, she's saying she's innocent. There'll still be people out there, maybe her friend Ali, who do think she's innocent. I don't know. I don't think she's innocent, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with the appeal, won't we? Now, listen, I've got the allergies come back for me. Don't forget to vote. I'm going to do the poll now. Let's see. What have you voted? Do you like the chat on screen? Do you like the chat on screen like this? Or do you prefer the chat off screen like this? Or don't you care? That's the poll. Please vote in the poll. Well, anyway, you're a bit too late now because I'm going to see the results of it. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? I can't see the results now. Anybody can see the results of the poll because I can't actually see it on my thing. Where's the results? David, tell me, what are the results? I can't, it's not showing up for me. Don't care is 60%. Yes, no, 0%. Don't care 60%. And no, thank you, Tracy, and no 40%. Oh, that's not very helpful for me, is it? But I think most of you don't care then, do they? So sometimes maybe what I'll do is alternate between the two. Sometimes I'll put the comments on stage like this. Now, I can make them bigger. Let's have a look. So there's a lot of different ways I can do it now. Look, you can do it like that, and then you can make them bigger, like that, oh, like that. But basically, nobody cares. I mean, the thing is, people can see the comments anyway in the comments section, but I suppose if I replay the video, normally you can't see it. The comments are so small. Yeah, see, I'm watching on a computer, so you can see them. On screen just needs to be bigger. I think that's the biggest. That is the biggest, Alfie, that I can do so far. On screen just needs to be bigger so we can see it. as far as StreamYard is concerned, that is the biggest. You can do it like that. Is that any better? But basically, that's it. The font, I can only do small, medium, or big. This is on big. And then the size, I can do regular, tall, or wide. All right. You should have gone to Specsavers, David. Should have gone to Specsavers. Oh dear. Well, these are this is StreamYard, of course. It's not me who decides how it be. I mean, they've made them bigger, but they could do with being bigger, I think. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, you need to eat more carrots. Yeah, for one, size matters. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. Okay, I'm going to go in a minute, but do you know what? Before I go, I want to show you this because I think it's really good. I don't know if anybody saw. I'll probably do this now and then cut it off later. I'm trying to get, I'm going to take this off. Have you seen this? Very interesting. I didn't even know there was still Miss Universe competitions, but there are. You know, we thought we moved on from beauty competitions and things, for God's sake. But anyway, we haven't, apparently. Sometimes I wonder, have we moved on at all? But anyway, did you see this from the Miss Universe? Let me share it. So at the Miss Universe competition, the guy who's it's in Thailand, apparently. The guy who's organising it, or who reminds me very much of Elon Musk, because he's a total twonk.
If you follow the order, stop.
So the Miss Universe contestants.
Okay, Mexico, where are you? Okay. If you follow the order from your national director, you are dumb man.
You're a dumbhead. So he said that if she follows the instructions from her national director, she's a dumbhead. So that was, I tell you what, that was just a total mistake to say that. You're a dumbhead. You're a dumbhead. And then she got annoyed at it, and then all the other ladies got annoyed at it and walked out.
No, not about you. Not about you. Not about you.
It's not about me. It's about all the people that
I didn't give you opportunity to talk. Please keep polite for me. I still talking. I'm still
talking, you dumbhead. So he got annoyed with her. He said, I still talking, you can't talk. She got the right up, she walked out. And all the other ladies followed her.
talking. Listen.
Listen.
I still keep talking to everybody. Why you stand up to talk to me?
because I have a voice. I feel for everybody's not. If you have a problem,
No, you have a voice, but you have to respect. The voice.
you are not respecting me as a woman.
What? No, why you stand up?
Because I
Where's the gun? Security.
Security. So he's like a Thai Elon Musk to me, this guy. He's a prat, and he's calling her a dumbhead. You know, and so I suppose at least it's good that nowadays in beauty pageants, I would do away with beauty pageants, to be honest. Why they're judging a woman on the way she looks. But anyway, if they're still continuing, they're still continuing. You know, I don't rule the world. They've got the choice to do what they want to do. But he's like this sort of Thai Elon Musk, thinking he can talk to these women how he wants. Security. So he asked for security. So you all stand up and you're like, security, stop,
Stop.
stop.
You know, as a country, you have all my respect. I truly love Thailand. I respect all of you. I think that you're amazing people. But what just your director did is not respectful. He called me dumb because he had problems with the organization. And I think that's not fair because I'm here and I do everything okay. I don't mess with anyone. I just try to be kind. I'm trying to give my best. And he just shot me and he just said to me and shut up and a lot of different things. And I think that the world needs to see this because we are empowered women and this is a platform for our voice. And no one can shut our voice. And no one will do that to me. And I hope that everyone at home, every woman, doesn't matter if you have a big dream, if you have a crown, if that's take away your dignity, you need to go. Thank you.
So that's very brave of, in Mexico, of course, Mexico is not well known for its treatment of women. Women are treated pretty badly, to be fair, in Mexico. But anyway, she's come along there to Miss Universe, whether you agree with it or not, which personally I don't agree with it. But anyway, she's there. She's not putting up with any shit. And then the next thing that happened, it's certainly gone viral, that's for sure. It's gone completely viral. So guess what? So Mr. Narcissist, Mr. Narcissist, Mr. Thai Elon Musk. Oh, he's not really putting it on, is he? Do you know, I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter what language you're speaking in, you can tell a narcissist a liar a mile off. Look at him. Watch this. Do you think he's genuine? He's really like, oh God, get the tissues out. Now this actually, let me see when he gets his look, dabs him out. That's Erica Kirk as well. And she's another one who does that. Yeah, dab the imaginary tears. Doesn't matter what language you're speaking in, you can tell the twonk a mile off. Whatever. There are no tears, zero tears. It's Aaron Patterson tears. It's Erica Kirk tears, non-existent. Just pretending to cry. And then he's looking to see if the cameras are getting him. This is true. Yeah. So what he means to say is the video's gone viral. Look, he's obviously not seriously upset. The video's gone viral. I've realised I'm going to lose my job. I've cocked up big time. He's actually wearing a dicky bow, for God's sake. He's cocked up big time. And there you go. That's what narcissists do when they're caught out. They start pretending to cry, don't they? Whatever. So just thought I'd show you that because I'm going to chop that off and I am going to present that as a separate video. So yeah, he's been on the onions before he went on there. And does he really think that people are going to look at that and think, oh, poor guy. They're just not going to, are they, at the end of the day? Dear me. So the good thing about, false people is you can normally spot it. People are clever enough to spot it now, aren't they? And I'm not a perfect person, and people will either agree with me, not agree with me, but I am not fake. That is one thing that nobody could say I was. I know that 100%. Whether someone agrees with my views, doesn't agree with my views, they are my views, genuine views. I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't cry for effect. If I cry, it's because I'm genuinely upset about something. And do you know what? You can spot it a mile away. The difference between someone genuine and someone false. And that is why I cannot cope with Erica Kirk. I'm not doing videos about her, but you know what? She's as false as anything. I know when I feel empathy for someone, if it's genuine or not. I don't get it with her. Sorry. And there's a lot of other people, of course. Often you can see it instantly. You can feel it, can't you? Because, we are quite clever like that. People think Andrew was another, the Andrew formerly known as Prince. Trying to lie and think that people are stupid enough to believe it. We're all a bit more aware than that now, aren't we? So anyway, so I've totally gone off the point to the end there, but I hope you have a brilliant day. I'll be back later for members. We're going to have a laugh in members. We're going to look at a daft YouTube channel. We're going to have a look, which I meant to do last week and I never got around to it. But we're going to see how the man in black reappeared in St. Michael's on Wire. And anyway, we're just going to have a chat, aren't we? I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, don't forget to like and subscribe. Well, not only that, she's practically, did you see the video of her with JD Vance? We might have a look at that later. We'll see. Anyway, don't like offending people, but, that whole Charlie Kirk thing is weird. Weird. But anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you for watching. Bye. I've got to try and work out how to